In this video, we're finally gonna fully break down a complete guide for Lighter. He's finally coming to Zenless Zone Zero in the second half of 1.3, and he's actually pretty dang good. Today, we'll break down his kit, how to build him, his teams, and more. Sit back, grab yourself some delicious lasagna again, and let's do this. As a reminder, all of the content in this video is from the creator beta server of Zenless Zone Zero. Because this is solely based on the test version, this may in fact change for the final online results and values. Thank you very much to Hoyoverse for granting early access, and with that being said, let's check out the super cool Lighter. First, let's quickly review everything about Lighter's kit. Lighter is our upcoming S-rank Firestone unit from the Sons of Calydon. His kit is pretty straightforward and will focus on one main concept that makes him pretty powerful. First, see this meter up here under his character art? This indicates the amount of morale that Lighter has accumulated. Core passive Accelerant, which we will get into great detail later, says once this hits 80, a couple of things will happen. First, Lighter will immediately launch his quick assist upon switching into battle. Second, the 5th hit of basic attack will cause Lighter to enter the morale burst state. In this sense, in kind of a peculiar way, Lighter can also be considered a sort of off-field stunner. In short, Lighter will primarily focus on accumulating morale to enter the burst state and will boost his own impact with enhanced power. So now it's time for the essay portion of our class today, because this basic attack is long. Let's break this down into bite-sized chunks. Basic attack L-Form Thundering Fist will perform 5 forward strikes, dealing a mix of physical and fire damage. Following the 3rd hit of basic attack, Lighter has the ability to drag the joystick and repeatedly press or hold the button to unleash a series of melee follow-up attacks. Similar to a lot of the units we already have, you can just kind of keep this combo going this way. This wordy portion just says that you can do the exact same thing in the light punch of the 5th hit of basic attack. And then once you release the button, he'll go into his finishing move. He'll take 40% less damage during this 5th hit of the basic attack, and that is doubled in the morale burst state, along with anti-interrupt level. Special attack V-Form Sunrise Uppercut is pretty simple and just hits enemies in front with some fire damage. Also, the skill will not interrupt the combo count during your basic attacks. The EX Special Attack V-Form Sunrise Uppercut Full Distance says the same thing with some added caveats. If you have enough energy, you can press the button again after the skill to spend more and do a powerful follow-up downward strike. Another important thing is the bottom line of this text that says you can immediately follow up back into the 5th hit of basic attack. There isn't anything special about Lighter's dash attacks. The first one, Charging Slam, just does physical damage, while Dodge Counter Blazing Flash will do fire damage. But the cool thing about that is it can also follow up back into the 5th basic hit. Quick Assist and Assist Follow-Up will also be able to go right back into the 5th hit of basic attack. When your decibel rating is at 3000 aka max, you know what time it is. All you gotta do is press Q to use Ultimate W Form Crowned Inferno. This just simply does a powerful strike in a large area around, dealing massive fire damage, but it looks pretty stinking cool. Now it's time to talk about the core passives, and if you like reading, you're in luck. Core passive Accelerant has this giant text block, but it's actually pretty simple. The first chunk just states how Lighter gets his morale, both automatically as well as energy consumption from the rest of your team. When the morale meter gets 80 out of a maximum 100, the next time you switch Lighter into battle, he immediately launches Quick Assist. This is important because you can then use the 5th hit of his basic attack to put him in the morale burst state, which will enhance the power of all of his jabs, as well as boost his impact by a maximum of 20%, lasting 6 seconds. And yes, I'm sorry for the JoJo's reference. Anyway, this is basically why Lighter is considered an off-field stunner. You're going to be using a lot of energy with your teammates, and then instantly switch him in, using that quick assist into the morale burst state. You'll see why this works really well with certain characters that expend a lot of energy, like Bernice, when we get to the team synergy section. Additional ability Fighting Spirit requires either another attack character or the Son of Calydon on your team to activate. This to me is one of Lighter's biggest calling cards because he can get a massive bunch of stacks to boost ice and fire damage of your team. You'll see here that the 5th hit of Lighter's basic attack hits an enemy, each strike will gain a stack of elation lasting 30 seconds and stacking up to 20. This equates to a 25% ice damage and fire damage increase. But there's more. When getting these stacks of elation, if his impact exceeds 170, every additional 10 points will increase the effect provided by each stack by an extra 0.25%. In other words, you get a big permanent ice and fire damage increase for your whole team that gets even stronger from that core passive impact increase. Any chain attack will refresh the duration of these stacks of elation, and it can increase the ice and fire damage by a maximum of 75%. Here is the best upgrade path for Lighter skills, with core passive and basic attack being the most important. Let's switch gears though, because with those core passives we can see what his best team synergies are as well as his best partners. While he will work in a lot of different teams because of his additional ability, his primary focus will be those fire and ice teams. From my testing, I actually liked using Caesar King with him the most. They have great initial synergy, and this double stun kind of team worked very well for the endgame content. Following this, my two favorite teams to use him in were the Soldier 11 Fire team and the Ellen Ice team. If you have Caesar King, use her as the third, but if not, for the Fire team, use either Lucy or Ben Bigger, followed by Soldier 11 and then Lighter in that order, and the Ice team would be Sokaku, Ellen, and then Lighter in that order. I also really liked Lighter in a Fire Anomaly team, specifically with Bernice. Since Bernice uses a lot of energy, remember that core passive. Characters that use this kind of energy consumption will greatly increase the rate at which Lighter can enter the morale burst state. This is why he pairs so well with his other Sons of Calydon members, like Lucy, Bernice, and Piper. Now that we know the ins and outs of his kit and teams, we can finally go about building him in the best way possible. Starting with the W engines, the best in slot for Lighter will be the one made for him, Blazing Laurel. To summarize this W engine, it is a 25% impact increase for Lighter and a 25% crit damage increase to ice and fire damage. Ultimately, it's a very good W engine for what it's trying to do, and it's very worthwhile to get for Lighter. Just this W engine alone significantly improves both the Soldier 11 and the Ellen team, and the damage is very significant. We'll talk about his Mindscapes here in just a little bit, but I would actually pick this over Mindscape 1. If you don't get his personal, luckily there are lots of very good options for him overall. For more S ranks, your next best option is either Ching Yi's signature or Von Lycone's. Ice Jade Teapot has a good bit of support built in with the 20% squad damage increase while having multiple stacks of that terrific buff. However, the Restrained has more uptime, but only focuses on Lighter's personal damage in days. Sadly, for A ranks, I personally don't really like any of the stun engines as a whole. If you really don't have an option, Steam Oven is what you should probably use since it's free to play, but I would never suggest getting 6-shooter with the Battle Pass option. I would actually recommend a couple of the B options like Vortex Arrow or Vortex Hatchet over any of the A's. Disk drives, however, are a much simpler story. The only 4-piece you should ever be using as of now for Lighter is unquestionably Shockstar Disco. Lighter needs all the impact he can get and is heavily focused on his basic attack combos. 2-piece wise, there's a few different options depending on what stats you get and what team you want to play him in. Use Hormone Punk for an attack percent boost that will universally be acceptable. I personally have tested and liked Inferno Metal to give him an edge on his fire damage. Another option that I actually didn't mind was using one of the Anomaly Proficiency sets in an Anomaly focused team. Every little bit of Anomaly Proficiency will help get that sweet burn, so either Chaos Jazz 2-piece or Freedom Blues for that. As for his stat priority for slots 4 through 6, either use crit rate or crit damage for his 4th slot, or Anomaly Proficiency if you want to focus on burn. Fire damage percent is optimal, but attack percent is acceptable for slot 5, and slot 6 should only be impact. Substat priority is about the same depending on what teams and builds you want to go for. Bang Boos, similarly, will also depend what team you use him in. Sons of Calydon, use Red Machus. Fire Team, use Rocket Boo. Ice, use Shark Boo. You get the picture. Now let's briefly discuss all of Lighter's Mindscapes, starting with Mindscape 1. The Champion extends the time of the debuff from the core passive, as well as 10% extra ice resistance and fire resistance decrease, as well as a 30% increased damage from the final jab of Lighter's punches. Mindscape 2 Red Scarf causes the target to have a stun damage multiplier increase of 25%. Additionally, the ice and fire damage bonus that you get from the additional ability increases by 120%. Mindscape 4 Sunglasses is an energy regen buff when Lighter's off field, as well as a tiny energy buff for off-field characters when he enters the morale burst. Mindscape 6 Survivor turns Lighter into an absolute cannon. Basically, any of the heavy strikes from his moves will do a blazing impact effect, dealing 250% of his attack as fire damage. And you can get an additional trigger of this. For priority, I actually like Mindscape 2 over Mindscape 1, but I would still choose his W engine Blazing Laurel over either. In review, Lighter is a very straightforward, powerful, punchy husbando. The main thing about Lighter is to consider him an off-field stunner. Spending energy on the squad mates will cause his morale meter to increase, eventually putting him in the morale burst state. With this state unlocked, swap him in with his quick assist, chain right into basic attack 5 or the Aura move, and you'll be doing a ton of daze and powerful punches. His teams are also simple, and he mainly focuses on the fire and ice teams, but Anomaly can work too. For W engines, you really want to stick with his S ranks, especially Blazing Laurel. Disc drives always use 4-piece Shockstar Disco and the 2-piece of your choice, depending on what team you're building with Lighter and what stats you get. But there you have it for a full guide for our favorite new husbando, Lighter. Let me know what you think of him and if you're going to pull for him in the comments below. I really look forward to discussing him and Zenless as a whole with you all. For now though, like the video if it helped in any way, and subscribe to the channel for more awesome Zenless content lined up. And that's it. Good luck on your Lighter pulls, thanks for watching, and bye for now.